Chapter 12. Sorting It Out. For the next week, my focus remained on disassembling my car's engine, replacing parts, and rebuilding it. I took breaks in the daytime to go do things with Unique. Dean and I took time to go to the store, go out to eat, or go get ice cream. At times, I walked through the neighborhoods to the auto parts store or the grocery store. I continued to interact with many people online, but I only met up with others in the evenings once it was dark outside, when the lack of light inhibited my ability to work on my car. I spent $2,000 on engine parts. I worked hard in the sweltering summer sun. I walked half a mile back from the auto parts store one day with a bag full of supplies, dragging a new floor jack. I tired myself out. I shed blood and sweat and finally finished the repairs, and my car didn't start. One day in Dean's basement, I bumped into a pedestal, one which had some pottery artwork on it. The sculpture fell and broke. When Dean arrived home, I told him what happened. I apologized and I gave Dean $100 to make amends. I wished I could have given him more money, but my car issues had been depleting my funds at a fast rate. Since I had stepped away from the crystal market, I no longer had a source of incoming income. I was still stranded, and I wasn't sure how I was going to get back on track. Dean and I had a talk one afternoon. Multiple issues: the broken vase, Dean's fear for his mother's health during the pandemic, all of my bags and belongings filling up the floor space in the basement. The 2 weeks I spent at Dean's house reached the end. I appreciated the hospitality. My friend Lex often traveled for work. She built up rewards points at hotels, many rewards points. Again, through her help, I had a partial solution to my predicament. I still had other concerns beyond immediate lodging. I had a basement full of belongings at Dean's house. I had a broken car. My personal supply of crystal was dwindling down low, and my money had also diminished, leaving me borderline broke. One problem at a time. With lodging situated, my next immediate concern was my luggage in Dean's basement. All the bags and items were my most important items, the items I always took with me when I traveled. My storage unit back in Ohio was completely filled from floor to high ceiling, wall to wall. Over the couple of years of travel, items were picked from storage to accompany me on my trips. Other items were taken out from my car and packed into storage. I fine-tuned my travel items to what was needed, what was valuable, what was important to me, and what was useful as I traveled the country. Though my Lexus trunk and back seats had been packed completely full of my travel items while I traveled, I knew it wasn't smart to reload my belongings from Dean's basement into a broken-down car on the side of the road. It wasn't just my concern for theft while my car was sat unoccupied on a street and away from my current physical location. A big concern was the possibility I would come back to my car one day to find it had been towed, all of my belongings gone with my car. Storage space available. First month only $1. Reserve online now. Move in immediately. With fees and taxes, it became first month $57. I was desperate though. I made it happen. I had to pull the trigger in a timely fashion. I confirmed the rental as I sat on a chair outside of the restaurant in my hotel's parking lot. It was sunny and hot outside. I was 4 miles from Dean's house. I had 3 of my bags with me: a backpack, a travel bag with a shoulder strap, and a roller suitcase. Since I reserved a storage unit, I decided to walk the 4 miles through Aurora back to the basement where the rest of my belongings were waiting for me. I had walked much of the Aurora area in the nighttime. That 4-mile daytime walk back to Dean's house was challenging. It was midday, the sun was bright, and the temperature was in the high 90s. My backpack and shoulder bag weighed me down. My suitcase caused issue with any bump or curb on the ground. I stopped in the back of a parking lot to rest. A car pulled into a parking space along the side of the building where I was sitting. Besides the car, the section in the back of the parking lot was void of people, or so I thought. The 2 thug-looking guys in the car noticed me seated on the pavement with my luggage. They stared in my direction. I nodded to them. To my surprise, a third guy walked out from around the corner of the building a few feet away from me. He walked right past me towards the parked car. The guy's gun was sticking out of the back of his waistband. My gun was in plain view in the holster on my ankle. That third guy glanced in my direction before stepping into the back seat of the parked car. I casually averted my gaze and scanned the rest of the parking lot. I remained seated on the cement while the third guy stepped back out of the car and put something in his pocket. As the car with the two guys backed out of the parking space and pulled away, the third guy walked by me, back behind the building from which he had emerged 5 minutes earlier. I decided my break was over. I gathered my bags and continued on towards Dean's house. It was no longer an option to remain seated on that curb. Dean pulled his FJ Cruiser up to the front of the lot. I punched the code into the keypad by the main doors of the structure. I came back out to Dean's car, wheeling a large cart. I thanked Dean for his help as we finished loading all my luggage onto the cart. I let Dean know I would take it from there. I pushed the cart into the elevator, and I ascended 3 floors up the warehouse to my 5 by 5 foot storage unit. After unloading all my items in a manner which allowed easiest access to the items I would need the most access, I was left with a small floor space in front of the door. I closed the door and shut myself inside the cramped space. Through the thin metal walls of the structure, I heard other people loading and unloading items into their storage units all around me. I heard conversations clearly in close proximity. I made sure the door was securely shut on the inside by wedging a screwdriver along the door's track. I unpacked my bag of drug supplies in the semi-darkness. When I determined there wasn't another person in the immediate vicinity of my storage locker, when the closest voices I heard came from a separate hallway, I fired up the torch and blew down a hot rail. I blew the smoke into a balled-up sweatshirt. Most of the smoke was absorbed, but some dissipated into the air in the tight quarters. I placed the sweatshirt on one side of the open floor space. 6 hours later, one of my extra loud snores woke me up.